we're going to kick you in the teeth. All right. And when you punch us back, we're going to smile at you. And when you knock us down, we're going to get up. And on the way up, we're going to bite a kneecap off.
You like that? You like that?
Scott, did you come up with the correct response? Who wanted to kick that field goal?
With the second pick in the 2017 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears select Mitchell Trubisky, quarterback, North Carolina.
Welcome to the NFC North podcast. What's up, everyone? This is the NFC North podcast, a show with hot football questions and even hotter men. My name's Eric Kiska. I'm your resident Lions fan, and this is
Cole William Whitlaw Gibson. I am the Packer Nation, Packer representation of the NFC North, number one overall. And then to my left is...
Yo, what's up, guys? This is Blaze Ryan, the representative of the NFC North preseason champions, I guess. We went 2-1. I don't think you guys even came close to that. So let's give a round of applause for our preseason champs, boys.
Woo! No, that doesn't matter. Preseason doesn't matter. Lions went 4-0 and then 0-16. Browns went 4-0 and 0-16. It doesn't matter. Winning in the preseason is actually worse.
Listen, I'm still celebrating the MVP, all right? So
Who's that? The guy who's going to get benched behind Andy Dalton?
No, Mitchell Trubisky, man. He won the MVP.
The guy,
Is it Trubisky or Trubisky?
Trubisky.
There's a T in there?
Trubisky there, eh?
Okay, or that's just Chicago. Chicago talk.
I think it's Trubisky, but
okay.
Don't quote me on that.
Who knows?
Well,
he'll be out of the league in a few years.
That is fine. The preseason is now wrapped up. At least the preseason games are. Training camp cuts were just made today, the final cuts of the preseason, and we will go through that. So let's start out with the Packers here. Equanimous St. Brown, after several disappointing years, was cut today. He was originally supposed to be maybe the number 2 or 3 wide receiver in the offense, but, I mean, things have changed. We have Randall Cobb there now. We have Valdez Scantling, and, of course, Devontae Adams. What do you think of that, Blaze? Or Cole?
Don't forget about Alan Lazard. You got the Lizard King, Devontae Adams, MVS, and Cobb, and then 2 other guys. So I don't know. I liked St. Brown. He has a pretty cool name and stuff, but overall, he's not the biggest cut that I was actually surprised of. It was actually J.K. Scott, our punter, was cut, and I was not expecting that. I mean, he was very inconsistent. He had a hell of a leg, but I mean, he had a 21-yard punt in preseason. That's pretty terrible. But then I found out that we traded for that Corey guy from the Rams, who had like the best punting preseason possible. The dude was booming it, so I think we traded a 6th round pick and got a 7th round and a punter. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. We also did cut, which, close to my heart as a fellow Cole and, Green Bay Packer lover, Cole Van Lane, I believe his name, a local town hero, first, guy to be drafted by the Packers in, a million years from Green Bay. He got cut. So that was a big bummer. But overall, go.
It seems like you always have those local town heroes in Green Bay or just local Wisconsin guys that are long shots to make the team, and then they end up getting cut, but they're always preseason heroes,
Yeah. I mean, I wanted him to be good, but I think our offensive line is looking pretty good. David Bakhtiari is going to be out for I think 6 weeks, so that's a real.
Yep, he got put on the PUP list. He tore his ACL last season, and Blaze, I bet you're feeling good about that.
Oh, I mean, you never want to see anyone get injured, obviously. Yeah. I was more shocked that they cut that Ben Brandon guy afterwards. He had a really good preseason, especially the last game that I saw the Packers. He seemed like he did a lot. And then the other surprise, KB and Ento, he was the cornerback.
Yeah.
He got cut too. a couple of surprising moves by the Packers, but yeah, no, I mean you don't want to see a offensive lineman get hurt.
Obviously,
regardless.
yeah. But that would mean that week 6, you guys face the Packers for the first time. That means Bakhtiari will be out for that, guaranteed. So Khalil Mack maybe could have a bigger game there. Obviously, you don't want to see a guy get injured, but we'll see.
Yeah, Khalil Mack might get his very first sack of the season, week 6. Yeah. Who knows?
No, he'll already be 10 deep by then. Don't worry.
Well, yeah, I mean, all in all, the cuts weren't that surprising. Preseason for the Packers doesn't matter. I mean, we save our wins for the regular season. No sense wasting them preseason. You know what I'm saying?
For sure. So you got shut out by the Bills. We did see a little bit of Josh Allen this game. Jordan Love not looking great again. Threw an interception, 149 yards on 12 completions. I think my biggest preseason takeaway from the Packers, the whole Packers preseason, is that they will be completely screwed next year if Aaron Rodgers leaves.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thankfully we got 365 days to figure it out, and he's not going to leave. So, and also, you say Jordan Love did bad, but guess who's the backup? Jordan Love. Guess who wasn't a backup last year? Jordan Love. He's moving his way up. Maybe he just needs 5 more years. We'll just keep Aaron Rodgers around till then.
I mean, he sustained like 3 good drives. I mean, that they shouldn't have been shut out because Mason Crosby missed that chip shot.
Yeah,
I think it was like 30 yards maybe.
Yeah, but Mason
even
Crosby
more even more concerning than the interception for me. It wasn't a good looking throw to begin with, but they got a drive stalled by a delay of game penalty, which is crazy in preseason. You want to explain what happened there? Or?
Well, you just don't care. It's preseason. Again, we're not here to win games in the preseason. We're here to win games in the regular season. And I don't care
when I back out of the driveway. That doesn't mean I'm not looking both ways. I mean,
it's like the same thing. How many penalties happen, or how many too many guys or not enough guys happen on special teams? It's because it's preseason, man. Doesn't matter. No, it's like whose line is it anyway? No, the points don't matter. It's all made up. We just move on with our lives. Mason Crosby missed that extra point, or not the extra point, the field goal, because he was too busy and too tired from punting the ball, which, he slaughtered, the one punt he had. I was pretty excited to see Mason Crosby punting the ball. I thought that was pretty funny. Just like that Houston safety who did a kickoff. That was pretty awesome. But, it doesn't matter. I mean, the Bears really had the most exciting preseason, in my opinion. Just with watching, their
well, I mean, the Bears have more to play for, in the preseason. To be completely honest, my other note on the Packers that I had was because they played a lot of the reserve defense the entire game. Did they even start any of the starters? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think so.
The backups looked okay, but they also gave up a 4th down conversion and a couple 3rd down conversions. So. In a game where, there's constant substitutions and stuff like that, where your starters aren't on the field every single day, how do you feel about your backups, not getting that 4th down stop and a couple 3rd downs that really, blew the game wide open against the same team that killed my Bears?
Well, first off, the Bills were, they played a lot of their starters, and they do look good. The Bills are going to be a fucking really good team this year. Like, there's no denying that the Bills aren't going to be a good team. And the Packers have had, this mindset this whole preseason, which is what I'm fine with, is very little starters, if any, will play at any position. And it's all just to get, the young guys film and stuff. And yeah, I mean, the Green Bay Packers secondary, we have, some really good guys, and then we have some really bad guys. I mean, we have, Alexander.
Jair Alexander, yep.
Yeah, Jair Alexander, who's phenomenal. And then we have King, who I would like to be good, but he also, is notorious for giving up that halftime touchdown with Tom Brady and the Bucs. So, I don't know. We'll see how it is. The Packers secondary has always been suspect, but we have Adrian Amos, fellow Bears alum who actually joined a good team, and he seems to like winning. So I'm hoping we can continue that.
All right. Well, it sounds like
Fair point.
biggest preseason takeaway from Cole for the Packers. Preseason doesn't matter. For me, I still think that seeing Jordan Love struggling a bit, not great, but we will move from there. The Lions, I will take this one. They have cut Jelani Tavai, a Quinn Trisha, Bob Quinn, Matt Patricia second-round pick in 2019 that was a complete reach. And I think I saw something that since 2007, we've, I think, 12 or 13 second-round picks by the Lions have not made it to their second contract. For a long time, the Lions have been horrible in drafting in the second through fifth round. And that's the meat of the draft. That is the draft, like, you have your first-round pick. Obviously, it's not foolproof, but where you really, really make your team is in that second through fifth round, in my opinion, like getting those good budget guys. So that's not good. And then on top of that, they cut both their kickers. They cut Zane Gonzalez and Randy Bullock. And that, to me, is the biggest MCDC, Motor City Dan Campbell thing, is to go into the season with no kickers. I think they'll probably pick somebody up in the next few days, but
yeah, I think that's funny. Just so they can put Boyle on the IR.
Yeah,
to be honest.
They'll.
Yeah, I mean, I looked it up because I was very confused because they had 53 people but no kicker. I'm like, how the hell does that even make sense? But maybe MCDC has a little bit of a brain instead of just being a big meathead. But man, oh man, not having a kicker, and you guys only have 2 tight ends. You have 2 tight ends. Like, you only have 2 on your roster. That's insane. It's like, obviously, Big Cock Hawk is very good, but you're gonna have him be in the game like all the time unless you're doing splits with a bunch of wide receivers. Like, I don't know. It just seems wild that you only got 2 of them.
Well, you got Darren Fells there too. He's not great, but I think we're hoping Big Cock Hawk just takes that big cock step forward. So next up, Lions cut Brashad Perriman and trade for Trinity Benson from the Broncos. We gave up a 5th rounder, and we got back a 6th. We gave up a 5th and a 7th, got back a 6th, and this Trinity Benson guy who was undrafted out of a D2 college. He looked okay in the Broncos preseason games, but not really the answer here at wide receiver. Tyrell Williams is obviously going to be our number 1. We got Khalif Raymond. We've got Amon-Ra St. Brown, who is Equanimous St. Brown's brother, I believe. And yeah, going to be a rough wide receiver room there.
Well, my question is, why would you dare cut Geronimo Allison, your number 1 wide receiver?
I mean, yeah, you guys cut him too, didn't you? So. And then last, few big moves here. Corn Elder and Nickel Roby Coleman, 2 guys we just signed this offseason, they were both cut. And so now we have this extremely thin cornerback group headed by Jeffrey Okuda and Amani Oruwariye. So, and we just got a new guy that we drafted too. So I don't know, very thin, younger guys. It's going to be kind of a rough secondary there. I'm not feeling very happy. I guess I think this is us really. We are doubling down on tanking.
I mean, it seems like it. My question is, you have 2 tight ends and you're thin in like the, your secondary and stuff like that. Where are all the extra guys going? I know you got 6 edge rushers, so that's one thing, which seems like maybe a little bit of overkill, but then it's also MCDC, and I feel like he just wants a bunch of just big old boys to, bully the other team, I suppose.
Yeah, and I don't know. Yeah, like, I don't know what obviously, the identity of our team is pretty much MCDC, like, bite your kneecaps off, but, like, I don't see any of these moves. I don't see where it leads to that, but it's just the first year. Maybe he is just being more cutthroat and he's trying to overturn a lot of the previous administration. And I mean, there were a couple guys we signed that obviously got cut, but then there were others like Tavai that I think he's trying to come out straight out and just say, you know, we aren't the previous administration. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would like MCDC to be like a somewhat successful coach. I don't want him to be too good because I couldn't imagine Lions fans having any form of happiness in their life. But you know, he is very entertaining and he is like a fun guy to like watch and listen to. And even as a Packer fan, I've never watched any press conference or anything like that, but I like watching MCDC. I think he's a good guy and he seems like a fun character to be a part of the league. But I don't know what his coaching style will be. We will see.
Yeah, Blaze, what do you think of all those cuts?
Yeah, I think it's really him doing the changing of the guard sort of thing. I think he wants to take all the horrible stuff Matt Patricia did to your organization and wipe the slate clean. You know, I think it's a smart move because you guys weren't going anywhere to begin with, so you might as well take the young kids. I actually looked this up the other day. You guys have 14 players under the age of 23 right now, and only 4 over the age of 30. So, wow. You know, you keep the good DeAndre Swifts. You know, I think Quentin Cespedes is really good. I think I didn't know anything about him, but that Mike Ford guy played really good in the last preseason game.
He got cut too. Mike Ford
got cut.
He got cut. Yep.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah. But just embrace the tank at least 1 or 2 more seasons. Give him, give Campbell the time to figure out what he wants this team to do. And don't worry about not having a kicker because, like I said, it was all roster moves. That's not going to be you guys aren't going to put Blau in at the chip shots. What I think might end up happening is the LA Chargers cut Mike Badgley, and I think we could maybe pick him up. I think want just a body at kicker that can maybe hit like 80% of field goals. I don't know. I think, it's a tanking year, and this is just like all these moves just reinstate that for me. I guess the last thing, Lions lost 27-17 to the Colts, and Penei Sewell not looking good again. This is the second straight game where he has had the worst rating from PFF for any offensive player on our team. And I think he also had the worst rating of any offensive lineman this preseason. And that is pretty rough. Obviously, we knew that he was going to start at right tackle. We were going to switch him over from left tackle to right tackle, and there was going to be a lot of rust there. It's just still not good to see that he is pretty much the worst offensive lineman rated by PFF this preseason. So I think it's just going to be a really rusty start for him, and it goes along with the whole tanking scenario, I guess. But still, you want to see your first-round pick do well. So, I don't know.
And I find it hard that, Dan Campbell wants to tank or is, like, trying to tank. But, I think the Lions organization and team was left in shambles with Matty P, so it's hard to turn that ship around as fast as they do. And Swell, I mean, I know every Detroit Lions fan was pumped when you guys got him, and his highlights are awesome, but for him sitting out a year and then now coming in and then changing position, and from what I've been told or what I've heard and stuff like that, being an offensive lineman, it is a lot of trusting each other and a lot of like team building and stuff like that. So, maybe he'll be good. Who knows? But Zadarius Smith will tear him up, so it doesn't even matter.
Blaze?
Yeah, it's looking like it. I mean, he gave up that strip sack, and I was in utter shock because I really thought, you can't base everything off of 3 preseason games, but man, I thought he was going to be like next generation talent, and he just looked like he was tripping over himself, especially on that sack. Yeah, that wasn't good. As far as the game goes itself, again, Cephalus, my boy from Wisconsin, he got that touchdown. I think Boyle is, again, like I said, on the IR now. I think he hurt his hand on that strip sack.
Okay, you keep saying Cephas. It is Cephas. Quintez Cephas, actually. Just
whatever.
Cephas. Yeah, quick correction there.
It's a tough couple syllables. All right.
All right.
The Detroit Lions have probably the craziest group of names.
Who's the safety? He was a Buki or whatever. Who's a running back now. Oh
yeah. No, I mean there's him. There's the guy we drafted who I didn't want to pronounce his name last week, Levi Onzawerki. So. That's another guy. Yeah, or is it Onwazurki?
Hey, you guys will have the most syllables in the league, I guarantee it.
Amani Oruarie. So, yeah, we got a lot of guys with tough pronounce names. Either way, yeah, I'm feeling even less optimistic now after these games. So, anyway, so let's move on to the Bears. They have officially put Tariq Cohen. They have officially put Tariq Cohen on the PUP list. He tore his ACL last year, so he's going to be out 6 weeks, and at least 6 weeks. And Damian Williams is going to be your pass-catching back. What do you think of that, Blaze?
I think Tariq Cohen was a flash in the pan. He's too small to be a NFL running back. I loved him for what he did for the couple years that he was good. But this is David Montgomery's backfield, and Williams is just going to be that added spice, to change a pace, catch it out of the backfield. I love Tariq Cohen. I hope he comes back. I hope he has a good, safe recovery. But, at the end of the day, I don't think the Bears needed him as bad as, maybe he thinks that we needed him. Because I know he likes to talk a big game about himself. But, again, you never want to see an injury, but that Williams pickup was such a genius pace move that I can't believe he did it. Probably someone else picked him up. So.
Genius is going a little bit farther, but yeah, I mean, it was a good, saving move for.
The last time he played, he had like 100 yards in the Super Bowl. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I mean, genius.
Playoff Damian.
Yeah, that was on the Chiefs, man. Better offensive line there, but. We're moving on there. Bears cut Desmond Trufant, which is actually pretty sad. Trufant's father
very sad.
Passed away, and he wasn't able to be at a lot of training camp. But now you're starting the season with Jalen Johnson and Artie Burns as your top two cornerbacks. And Kyle Fuller, he was let go this offseason. He was a cap casualty. So now the Bears secondary, highly questionable. I don't think Trufant was going to be your saving grace anyway. But still, what do you think about the secondary going into the season now?
Well, we still have Eddie Jackson, man, in the backfield. The D-backs. He's the captain. Jalen Johnson, he's a really, I think he's underrated. He had a really good interception the first preseason game. How will he line up with number one wide receivers in, week-to-week situations? We'll see. We might have more of a bend, don't break defensive back formula.
That doesn't work, by the way. Matt Patricia tried it.
What's that?
So. That doesn't work, by the way. Matt Patricia tried it.
Worked for Lovie Smith a couple years at Tampa, too. And then I think Vador is going to be the Bears' number 2 cornerback. And he didn't have a great preseason, but he's a little bit shorter than you want him to be, but he's extremely physical and he can tackle. And I think it's definitely the weakest part of our defense, but it's not as irreparable that I think they're going to lose us games.
Yeah.
So it's definitely going to be some working out to do, but I don't think it's going to be the end all be all for the Chicago Bears' vaunted defense.
Yeah, well, I already, last week I said 6 wins, and this doesn't really change it for me, but I knew that with Kyle Fuller not there anymore, you're, in the division with Aaron Rodgers, so, yeah, we'll see.
And Devontae Adams.
Yep.
And Randall Cobb.
Yeah.
But,
well, so the Bears, they won their final preseason game 27-24. Justin Fields looked solid again, and he ended his 2021 preseason with 276 passing yards on 49 passing attempts, 2 passing touchdowns. and a 90.2 passer rating, 92 yards rushing, 1 rushing touchdown. Sorry to get through all these statistics here, but Dalton played about half of that. Finished with 164 passing yards on 21 passing attempts, throwing for 1 TD and 1 pick with an 82.2 passer rating. And the big news that rocked the NFL today was that Bill Belichick dropped Cam Newton, cut him outright. And I'm wondering if Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace are now looking a little Mickey Mouse by still choosing to go with Andy Dalton first preseason, or first game of the season.
I've said it since the beginning. I do think that Andy Dalton should start. I know Justin Fields had a fantastic preseason. He really worked his way out of adversity all 3 games, and he really put together more than a handful of great drives. I think his mobility is really going to help us in the future. But our offensive line isn't where I want him to be right now. Where I want him starting games. I want him to learn the game from Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton threw 1 interception, but he didn't. Outside of that Colts game, I mean, I know he didn't play at all last week, but that first week against the Dolphins, he didn't look horrible. He looked a little rusty, but he didn't look like he was gonna, lose us any games. He might not win us any games. But yeah, it's encouraging to see that Justin Fields played as well as he did. That's about as good of a start as you want to see. Now, again, if we start the season 1-4, 2-5, something like that, then maybe you think about it, especially if your job's on the line, you're Matt Nagy. But I'm okay with a guy learning the game as much as possible before you throw him in. And that's just my own personal opinion. I know other Bears fans probably feel the exact opposite. I know a lot of people want him in day one, but that's just me.
Yeah, I'm fine with him sitting or being benched or whatever. My thoughts are: do you think that Justin Fields and Andy Dalton's play styles are the same? Because the whole point of a backup is typically to have a very similar play style, so you don't have to rebuild a team around a different quarterback in all the play styles and stuff. So now that Cam Newton's cut, guys should sign Cam Newton and cut Andy Dalton. No. Listen,
the offense is going to be there. I mean, we probably have, outside of A-Rob, we have some of the fastest dudes on 2 feet, at wide receiver right now.
Yeah.
Darnell Mooney's going to take his next step. Adams, who, where Trufant is a sad story that he got cut. Adams, he had his kid the day before he got a 73-yard touchdown. Mm-hmm. We got some real kids with burners on here. Bird is really, really fast. So I think if he learns how to step up in the pocket, which Andy Dalton is actually pretty good at, he's not really as mobile as him, but he knows how to, read the pressure and take those extra steps and make that bullet pass or that, rainbow pass. And I think he's going to learn a lot from him. I think you're just a little scared right now, Cole, that Justin Fields is coming to take that QB crown away from your lover, Aaron Rodgers.
The biggest worry I have is that the NFC North is going to be a laughing stock with all all the Vikings, Lions, and Bears just shit in the bed, while the Packers will go undefeated, but it won't matter because they're in a joke division. I really wish you guys would start pulling your own weight.
Well, I mean, the thing is, though, if Mac Jones can start right away, why can't Justin Fields? That's kind of more of my question. Yeah. It's why Mac Jones
isn't... He can't. I'm not saying that he can. I'm not saying that he shouldn't. I'm just giving you my own personal opinion on how I would bring up a rookie quarterback and how I agree with the management on this one. I feel like we put Mitch Trubisky in too quickly when Glennon was throwing duck eggs the whole couple weeks he was in. I think it's better to learn and also get him, sneak him into the game, let him get comfortable, because who knows where Mac Jones is going to be in 2 or 3 years. I know where Justin Fields is going to be. He's going to be, competing with the Packers or Vikings or even the Lions, for that NFC crown and hopefully more. He's a really special talent, and I want to waste it on what could end up being a joke season. So,
well, if it's a joke season, though, Fields is going to have to start all over next year with a new offense, and you better hope that they pick the right guy. You better hope they pick the right coach. So, we'll see about that. Let's move on to let's move on to the Vikings here. They released Everson Griffin after a week after they signed him. The other big move they made, they acquired Jets tight end Chris Herndon and a 2022 6th-round pick for a 2022 4th-round pick. Tight end Irv Smith is now expected to miss time with a meniscus surgery. And, yeah, man, Irv Smith was... a lot of people thought he could have taken a big step forward this year. Not like, big cock, but I think that Herndon, who knows what he'll do there. Irv Smith, that kind of sucks. So let's hope, maybe not. Let's hope the Vikings figure something out there. But yeah, what do you guys think of that?
Yeah, I mean, go ahead. I'll let.
Yeah, I think that Hernan trade was actually pretty decent considering they just lost one of their franchise tight ends. He's on the Giants now, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think so.
Wait, Herndon?
No. The I can't. Kyle
Rudolph.
Kyle Rudolph.
Yeah, Rudolph.
Rudolph. That's it. Yeah. Yeah. So Irv Smith, he actually, again, I only saw like the first half of their game, but he actually had a pretty decent first half. But I think that was the right call to make as the Vikings to get a more proven tight end at that position.
Yeah. Yeah, like Irv Smith, fantasy-wise, I was kind of excited for him. But yeah, maybe it won't be that big of an effect on their offense. The other thing that will be an effect on their defense, though, linebacker Anthony Barr, a 50% chance to play week 1. So, yeah, that could be a little scary for them. And then, yeah, they also lost to the Chiefs 28-25. Kellen Mond, again, not looking good. I get more and more pessimistic with this Vikings team too, but it's just the third preseason game again, and like Cole was saying, hopefully you're a better team, you have your starters figured out, you don't really put as much cadence into the preseason games, but yeah, we'll see. Just this turmoil on this team keeps building, so
yeah. Plus also who's the backup quarterback that was like a backup forever? Josh McCown. No, Josh McCown. He recently said that Kirk Cousins, since he's so against like not being vaccinated and all that stuff, he can't be a true leader in the locker room. So, and then with the Mike Zimmer situation, everything like that. Plus, if he gets COVID, which I don't want anyone to get COVID and whatever. If he gets it, he can't play, and their backup is trash, and their whole team is going to be. It's just a mess. The Vikings are a mess.
Well, here's the thing, and everyone's talking about how disappointing the offense has been so far, especially as Eric keeps bringing up Mond and again, Jack Bryant. That was the other backup quarterback I think you were talking about. They looked awful. Kirk Cousins had 2 3-and-outs in the limited action he was in. But here's the interesting thing. The Vikings started 6 people, 6 of their starters on defense. And I know it's Patrick Mahomes. I know he's the GOAT. But he tore them up. He went 8 for 9 with 2 touchdowns. And that's with, over half of their defense who's going to be there week 1 against the Bengals starting. So I was pessimistic with the Vikings week 1 of the preseason. I'm even more pessimistic of them now. I think this team is in a lot of trouble, and I don't mean to keep piling on them every week, but I probably am. They have a lot of issues that maybe isn't as glaring on paper as it is like actually in the trenches, and I think it's going to show up sooner rather than later.
Yeah, and I looked it up. It's not even just Kirk Cousins that's not vaccinated. It's Dalvin Cook and Adam Thielen. So that's scary.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah, I imagine if you get if all three of those guys test positive, or they all get a contact and they have to sit out for 10 days, that team is, I mean, that's an automatic loss. There's no way they could possibly win a game without.
Oh, with especially how bad, like just Kirk Cousins, just how bad their other quarterbacks have looked. It's, I mean, maybe Cam Newton's available, I guess now. But...
Yeah, like I don't love Kirk Cousins, and yeah, I completely agree that his leadership. It just, I think even before this year, his leadership just wasn't there. Like, I don't think he could lead a team to a Super Bowl, obviously. And I think he, on the Andy Dalton scale, so one of my favorite my favorite NFL podcasts is Around the NFL. And they used to have this thing called the Andy Dalton scale. It's Andy Dalton's the league average QB. And you judge every QB on what side of Andy Dalton they are on. Kirk Cousins slightly above Andy Dalton, I think, but he just isn't that guy that's going to bring you anywhere. So,
yeah, I think Andy Dalton makes up for it with being a locker room guy, and he seems to support Justin Fields very well.
Yeah,
Kirk Cousins.
You're just saying that because he's a redhead. You lie.
So now we move on to our fun topic. So we are going to review and talk about the Donda release, the new Kanye West album. He obviously had a listening party Friday night at Soldier Field where he recreated his childhood home from Chicago. Donda is Kanye's mom, and he made some controversy here. He had two disgraced musicians in DaBaby and Marilyn Manson at the album listening party. And the album was released on Sunday without his approval, apparently. Universal Music released it, and he sent out a tweet and I think an Instagram photo saying, like, I did not approve of this. Either way, I listened to it. Yeah, I don't know. Too long. What do you guys think of it?
Yeah. So I after you listened to it, I ended up listening to it as well. Mm-hmm. And man, oh man, I do not have enough time for that album. There's a lot of, like, the part twos you were not kidding about, where it's just like, yeah, it's just more of the same. I mean, there's like a couple, decent beats and stuff like that, but like what Eric, I think you mentioned it, where like his lyrics and stuff really don't have the same pop or the same kind of like catch to them as they used to, and they're just, I think he's like trying to be too, like, I don't know, like reaching too much for like being too emotional, or like, I don't know. There's just like, he's just like trying to do too much, and it just doesn't seem to work very well for him. And also, like, he built a whole house in Soldier Field, so the Bears will not have a home game all season. There's absolutely no way.
Yeah, like, has he moved out yet?
A whole new stadium.
Has he moved out yet?
We'll see. I think that is an eviction notice still a thing going on.
Yeah.
Now, Kanye doesn't believe in that stuff. You kidding me?
Yeah, I just think the songs were too repetitive. The lyrical content of Kanye's music has kind of gone downhill, in my opinion. There's a lot of songs about Christianity on here. It's all over the place, though, and there's so much stuff that's happened to Kanye in the last 5 years. I thought it would be a little more cathartic, a little more, provocative. What do you think, Blaze?
Yeah. Like I said, I woke up delightfully on Sunday morning. I could not believe that it had come out, and the first track is the Donda chant, and I was like, oh, he's back, man. Like, he usually has that, that, like, nice,
Donda,
like,
Donda,
just 40-second, intro, and I'm like, he's back, and then, oh, man, he doesn't have a direction, and that's what's wrong with this album. I really hope they release it early, because there's just so much going on at once, and it almost feels like it's a publicity stunt. Obviously, it's Kanye, but just in the worst type of way, because, again, Marilyn Manson, who's had a lot of issues the past year, he does guitar on Jail Part 2, I believe, and then DaBaby does a couple tracks, which I can't kind of understand that because he actually brought him up, so at least there's some relevancy to Kanye and DaBaby. But Marilyn Manson, it just feels like a publicity stunt. And then we were talking the other day, and I just remember like 808 and Heartbreaks was like there was just a thematic tone to it. My beautiful dark twisted fantasy, that there was a message behind it, whether you liked his music or not. At least he had his message out there.
Mm-hmm.
And now it just kind of feels like he's just like regurgitating stuff that he's not already done, but in completely weird orders, and there's no like you said, catharsis. It just seems like he just released an album just to say Kanye West released an album.
Yeah, I mean, what I think he's trying to do with the whole bringing DaBaby and Marilyn Manson on, he's trying to kind of do a big FU to cancel culture, and he is definitely tying it into the Christianity on his album, saying, like, we need to forgive people and stuff, but, like, I don't think it's a good look. I don't like it. So I think that especially
no. I mean, he explicitly said that Marilyn Manson was a publicity stunt. He said, I'm going to put Marilyn Manson on my record, and people are still going to buy it. And he's kind of right, though, because I think he was 10 of his tracks were on the top 50 of Spotify's playlist this past week.
Like, we listened to it, but, just because I'm interested. Yeah. But, like...
Well, hey, apparently everyone listened to it once, at least.
Yeah, it's just, it's an hour, 48 minutes, so I will listen to this once, and I think I, liked one song on it. Like, I had one song on it where I was just like, okay, I want to save this for later and re-listen to it. But, largely, I'm probably not going to listen to a lot of these songs again. So, yeah.
Yeah, which is insane, because, Dropout is one of the most, replayable albums. Then, like I said, 808 and Heartbreaks, Life of Pablo. I mean, there's Kanye tracks that I will go back from 15, 20 years ago, and I will just, be like, that is my jam. And it just seems... I didn't like his last album at all, because it was just all gospel.
Oh, but, Jesus is King, yeah.
Yeah. And this one, I just think it's going to be, especially for his 10th one, you feel like you probably want to make that, memorable, but I don't know, man. Get out of Soldier Field, man. I mean, we're playing in Arlington pretty soon, but, you can't go home. You just can't stay here,
Well,
that's kind of my thoughts.
All right, so last part of our show here, we're going to do an NFC North fantasy football preview. I've had 2 drafts, and I have drafted a few NFC North players. And also, when we get into the year here, we are all going to do a snake draft of NFC North players. 1 QB, 1 running back, 1 wide receiver, 1 tight end, 1 defense. And we are going to essentially face each other with just NFC North players, fantasy football-wise, each week. So, I'll start it out here. Is Aaron Rodgers going to be a top 5 NFL or top 5 fantasy NFL player again?
Yes. Final answer. Of course. What are you talking about?
Well, I mean, he could take a step back. You never know.
No.
I think he's a shoo-in for top 8.
Yeah.
Fantasy wise, I think Money in the Bank, top 8. Top 5, I think 4 or 5 is probably his ceiling, and he could hit it, but it's not yes. It's yes with some stipulations, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, he just had such a great season last season, and I think there might be a slight regression, but I think he still has that same mindset where he just wants to say fuck you to the Packers brass, and he's going to come out there with a chip on his shoulder. So.
Yeah, I mean, he's got that chip on his shoulder, plus you got Devontae Adams, who's still phenomenal, plus you got his best friend Randall Cobb back, which he Randall Cobb has not done well without Aaron Rodgers, but you have to admit they had a very, very good chemistry together, and I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Rekindling that relationship and adding Adams with them and getting that trio together. I'm very excited for it.
Who's your dark horse candidate if you had to pick a Packer right now that he's on nobody's radar right now? Comes out, has huge fantasy games, maybe maybe a top 30 wide receiver.
I would say AJ Dillon. I think he's gonna come in. Aaron Jones will be the number 1 running back, but AJ Dillon is a beast, man. That guy is gonna vulture a lot of touchdowns. I think that dude is he's big and he runs mean and he runs hard, and I think they're going to give him the rock quite a bit and use Aaron Jones as a kind of like a Kamara type thing where he'll be a passing back and he'll be running around, and then they'll just have A.J. Dillon run it down the middle and get those goal line touchdowns.
So are you devaluing Aaron Jones then? Or are you going to say that he's going to... Well, okay, look at Kirby Duckett. He used to steal touchdowns from Warwick Dunn. This is way back in the day. But... he really devalued a lot of those Falcons speedier guys by just getting in the end zone. And who was the other guy? Is that the same guy that I'm thinking of? He might be the same running back. There's another Falcons beefier back that would just.
Oh no, you're
touchdowns.
thinking of Falcons. Never mind. I thought you were thinking of the Buccaneers fullback. I completely forgot his name.
Oh, Mike Allstott.
Yeah, Mike Allstott. Okay, yeah.
Mike Allstott.
Another NFC South guy, yeah. But, yeah, I don't know.
I'm talking about, Mark Ingram used to just steal touchdowns from the speedier backs on the team, whether he was on the Saints or the Ravens, So you're telling me that AJ is going to devalue Jones a little bit?
I mean, yeah, possibly. I think Jones in a PPR league will get a lot of catches and stuff, which will be great. And Jones is going to be a very, very good running back. I think anyone would be happy to have him. But I think A.J. Dillon will be, if you have Jones, I think you should get Dillon or get, I don't know. I think he's going to vulture a lot of touchdowns. And if Jones does get hurt, he's going to be awesome. And he's going to be the go-to guy. And, on the other side of the balls and stuff, the wide receivers, you got Adams, you got MVS, you got Cobb. I think all of those guys will be good. Adams will be by far the best. And then for tight ends, it's Tanyan by far. I mean, Tanyan is going to be... Mercedes Lewis will get a little action, but Tanyan, Big Bob, I mean, that guy's going to catch all the touchdowns.
Yeah, I actually do like Big Bob. I don't know if I'd pick him over Hawkinson this year. They were pretty similar last year where Tanyan got more touchdowns, I think. But Hawkinson, I do think, just from a sheer volume standpoint, they have to pass it to somebody in Detroit. I think he will take that step forward this year. I know everybody's saying that, and he's getting drafted in the 5th round, which I don't know about that. But I don't know. I like Hawkinson for a step forward this year for fantasy purposes.
Yeah, I would agree.
Robert Tunyon went to my sister's high school, so
Nice.
the Tunyons are really big in my hometown. So yeah, it sucks that he's on the dark side, but he had that 3 touchdown game last season, and I swear to God, my whole town went nuts from what I heard. So
yeah, I think.
But he's not really a sleeper anymore, I don't think.
No, that's why I didn't include him. If you would say he's a sleeper, then that would be my pick. But I don't consider him a sleeper, and I think Dillon would be a decent deep round pick just to have on your bench and throw in when you need on a bye week or something, and he might get you a touchdown or something.
So my next take here is that Allen Robinson will be elite when Fields starts, but not when Dalton does.
I have to strongly disagree on that.
All right.
And again, now if the Bears are smart, if they're smart like me, then this is what they'll do. You got Darnell Mooney, who is going to be the breakout fantasy player of the year. If he's not rostered on your team right now, pick him off the waiver wires, trade your whole goddamn team for him. He is going to be that shoot the moon guy, especially in standard leagues. Now you got Bird on the other side, another fast burner. So what do you do with AB, the best wide receiver on the Bears, possibly the second best wide receiver in the NFC North division? Oh, you line him in the slot. He's a big, burly guy. He's going to get all those catches. He's going to worm through those safeties and linebackers, and he is just going to go yard. He's going to have over 100 catches this year. I think around 11, maybe 1,500 yards max, and at least 10 touchdowns. He's going to have a big year. He's going to want to come back to the Bears. Put money in the bank, AB.
Yeah. See, he's historically done very well, even with QBs like Blake Bortles and QBs like Mitch Trubisky. So I can see him just maintaining that solid floor, but I don't think his ceiling will truly... he's going to take that huge next step where he's going to be considered a top 5 wide receiver when Fields starts, in my opinion, because I think Fields will be able to just shoot it to him downfield on top of everything else that he already does. So, yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm just saying him and Darnell Mooney are going to be the new the new frickin' frack of the NFC North. You know, it's going to be one guy with the other,
Yeah.
Goodbye, Adams. Goodbye. It was fun.
And now, would we draft any of our defenses? That's kind of a thing. Like, I think I would draft the Packers defense, especially because we're in this division where we don't have the best QB play. Like, we're going to have, Dalton, who he makes turnovers sometimes, but he's not going to put up over 300 passing yards on the Packers secondary probably. But then you have Kirk Cousins, who throws picks, Jared Goff, who has baby hands and fumbles a lot. So I think the Packers defense is the only defense I would draft.
Yeah, I recently picked up the Packers in our league, Eric, where because they're playing the Saints first week 1, and the Saints don't even have home field advantage anymore, and apparently they can't even play at the Dallas Cowboys Stadium because some band from Mexico that was formed in the 1970s has decided to regroup after 25 years and decided that they're taking the Cowboys Stadium, and the Packers can't even play there. So Saints have no home field advantage, and I think the Packers defense is going to be good. I really do, and I think they're going to be the best in the NFC North. I think the Vikings had their defenses on the downturn. The Bears have had like some flashes of a good defense, but their secondary is questionable, and then the Lions are tanking, so they don't even care.
Yeah, I would definitely not draft the Lions defense. There's one guy in my other league where you had to draft 2 defenses in this other league, and he drafted the Lions defense, and I was like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? But yeah, Blaze, would you draft the Bears defense this year?
Would I draft them? I don't think so. I have a draft coming up on Saturday with my keeper league. If, like I said, if they're available and there's other teams, like the Packers, for instance, I'd probably choose the Packers defense over the Bears. But that doesn't mean that I wouldn't stream the Bears defense, if that makes sense. So they're a very good matchup team with that front seven. If they can get a weak offensive line, maybe a young, scared quarterback. Joe Burrows comes to mind week 4. That's
yeah.
Well,
that's going to be
that was good
one right for the taking if you're the Bears.
Yeah.
But again, we're playing a lot of tough teams this year, and the thing about fantasy defense is a lot of things can go wrong really fast for your defense.
Yeah.
So I would probably stream the Bears, probably the Vikings. I wouldn't touch the Lions with a 30-foot pole. And Packers, maybe a low-end, 10-team, maybe 12-team draft. I would definitely draft them.
For sure. Dalvin Cook, here's my last question here. Is he the consensus number 2? He's getting taken number 2 in a lot of leagues. It usually goes CMC, Dalvin Cook, Alvin Kamara, and then probably Derrick Henry, and you kind of throw in Chubb, Zeke, and Saquon in there. Do you think that Dalvin Cook should be drafted over Kamara and Henry?
Short answer, yes.
Okay.
Short answer, I think his skill sets are at least on par with Kamara. You can probably flip a coin with them. They're still probably a half a link behind Christian McCaffrey. Derrick Henry, as great as a runner he is, he's kind of a one-dimensional player. He doesn't really catch out of the backfield that much. So on paper, I would definitely can understand and probably endorse Dalvin Cook getting picked. Now you had to deal with, the injuries that he's known to go down for like 2 or 3 weeks. So if you think your team can handle it, Dalvin Cook is a great choice to pick up. He's gonna get you what you need.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a coin flip between him and Kamara, in my opinion.
Disagree. I think Cook is very good, but I don't think that the Vikings have enough to make him like truly the number 2 pick. And honestly, I would lean more towards Derrick Henry, because that Titans offense, they got a lot going on, especially now that they got Julio. That field is going to be stretched real far. Derrick Henry's a big body to run through a bunch of little guys as they stretch the field with AJ Brown and Julio Jones.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Delvin Cook is still a very reasonable pick for number 2. But I mean, I like Derrick Henry a lot this year, and I'm very excited to see what he can do. Kamara, I would love, but that Saints team is, needs to find their identity. So I would be wary to see, what they could do with their new transition and stuff, because it's a lot different having Drew Brees than famous Jameis or even Taysom Hill. Like those are 3 vastly different kind of play styles and stuff. And Jameis Winston, instead of dumping it off to Kamara like Brees did, he's just gonna sling it down the field as much as possible. So I don't know, that might devalue him a little bit. And again, I'm just, without Michael Thomas and stuff too, I just don't know if I trust that Saints team very much.
Gotcha. Yeah, and then last but not least, would you draft Justin Jefferson right after DeAndre Hopkins? Like in a lot of leagues I'm seeing, it goes DeAndre Hopkins, Justin Jefferson, Keenan Allen, and then Allen Robinson. And this is where I think I would actually draft Allen Robinson over Keenan Allen just after those first few weeks where Dalton just sucks it up. But anyway, Justin Jefferson, would you draft him right after D-Hop?
Oof. I don't know. Maybe. It really depends what I need and stuff like that. We're probably talking like late second, early third at this point.
Mm-hmm. Early third is where we went.
Draft.
Yeah, in our 12-team early third in our league. Yeah.
I think he is wide receiver 2 with wide receiver 1 upside. But Nuck and Keenan Allen and Allen Robinson, I think, will definitely get more receptions than him. And I think they're all still just a little bit more dynamic of playmakers than he is at this point in his career. He had a great rookie season. You can't take anything away from what he had. Mm-hmm. I would definitely, if those other guys that you mentioned were on the board, I would definitely take them over him. And that's not an insult to him at all. That's just veterans over the second-year guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, shoot, man, that's like the first good thing you've said all day. I agree. I think I don't think I would take him over those guys, because he is very good. He's definitely, I would love to have him on the Packers, but those other 2 players, much better. The veterans status, plus like Jared Jeudy, again, it goes back to that whole like, it's his second year, but he's also still their number 2. He is a very fast guy, and he's got a lot of like deep threat potential. So he'll probably have a couple of games where he just explodes, but then he'll have a lot of down games. I feel like it'll be a lot of ups and downs with him, while the other 2 guys will be a lot more consistent basis and much more trustworthy in terms of fantasy. I would trust them a lot more to just give me steady points and catches, especially in like a PPR league. While Jerry Jeudy, he might only get a few catches a game, but he could have 100 yards at a 2 touchdowns.
Justin Jefferson, not Jerry Jeudy.
Justin Jefferson.
Yep.
Jerry Jeudy is on the Broncos.
Yep.
Yes.
Justin Jefferson.
Same thing.
Yeah. All right, well, that's going to be it for us this week. Next week, we will only be a few days, when we record on Tuesday next week, we will only be a few days from the start of the NFL season, and I cannot wait. So,
I'm very excited.
Until next week, this is the Hot Football Questions with Hotter Men NFC North podcast. Thank you, and have a great night.